Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming out this evening. I'm very pleased to be presenting this session about Zarah Butcher-McGunnigle's new book, Nostalgia Has Ruined My Life. Just to introduce myself, my name's Nick Tapper. I'm the Associate Publisher at Giramondo Publishing, based in Sydney. I'm here on unceded Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, and I pay respects to elders past and present. This is a session that's taking place, in fact, across 3 lockdown cities. Sydney here, we have Hollen Singleton in Melbourne, lockdown Melbourne, and Zarah Butcher-McGunnigle in lockdown Auckland. So it's sort of one of the pleasures and strangenesses of this time that we get to have these conversations across very disparate geographical locations, and I'm really glad to bring these two together. I'm only going to speak for a second just to say that, as you can see down the right-hand side, there's room for comments there on your screen, and also at the bottom you should see an ask a question box. So there will be time for questions at the end if you wanted to ask anything that comes up as the session goes on, or you have a comment about something that Zarah's said, please feel free to put it in there. Besides that, I'll just say how proud Giramondo is to be publishing Zarah's book, her second book, after Autobiography of a Marguerite, which came out several years back. I first met Zarah in Melbourne maybe 3 years ago now, and was so struck by her reading at an event in a very dank upstairs room in a pub, and hopefully in these kind of dank circumstances that we're living through now, Zarah's reading will come through just as clearly. So, and I'm really pleased to have Hollen Singleton interviewing Zarah. Hollen is a widely published writer, a PhD candidate at RMIT, and also a co-editor of Going Down Swinging magazine. And of course, Going Down Swinging has itself published Zarah's work. So without any more to say, I will let you take it away, Hollen. Thank you very much, both.
Thank you for that. Lovely intro. I would like to acknowledge them streaming to you from the unceded land of the Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation. I would like to acknowledge their elders past and present. Hi, Zarah. Kia ora. How are you doing?
Okay, yeah.
I want to say, first of all, congratulations. I know you know this by now, but I just want to reiterate that reading your book, it's kind of a dark joy, and I've really had a lot of fun preparing for this by reading it again. It's been great. How does it feel to have it out in the world?
That's good. Yeah, it's kind of weird, I guess, seeing something that you've been working on for like a few years, and then finally it's like a real object. But I'm happy. I'm happy. My mum said that she hated the cover of it.
No.
But now, like, I think she's now come around to it. But I don't know. I'm happy with the cover. I'm happy with the cover, and I got to, we got to use a photo that I took from my Instagram. So, you know, that was good.
I mean, I love it. I love that it has a potato.
Yeah.
An iconic Zarah dress. Yeah, okay, that's good. I mean, I think it looks beautiful. I really like the paper as well. I mean, I don't know if people listening have their copy in front of them, but it's just like very beautiful and sort of crispy. Okay, it's fragmented, which makes it quite easy to read extracts from. I was hoping we could start with a reading.
Okay.
I can see Eloise in the chat is cheering you on.
Thank you, Eloise. God, I sort of just don't know what to read, but I might read like the first one and then one other one.
Perfect.
Okay. Everyone is getting married. I'm eating these disgusting chocolates that have melted and reformed 5 times while sitting in my friend's hot car. My sister has fallen in love with a $64 fish. I'm really depressed. Maybe I should have a baby. I already feel like a mother though, because I've dated a lot of immature people. I think I need to have an emotional experience with a dolphin. I think that would help me, if not a baby. Dolphins always seem happy and like they're smiling. However, the blubber under their skin disconnects facial muscles from skin, so they're actually incapable of facial expressions. A lot of people have advised me not to focus on romantic relationships and focus on friendships instead, but I don't have any close friends. The last time I had a close friend I enjoyed spending time with was when I was 8. The last guy I dated was still officially married to his ex-girlfriend. He said that he hadn't wanted to get married and that he told her that he didn't want to get married, but then she proposed and he didn't know how to say no. I don't understand, I said. If you didn't want to get married, then why did you get married? It's not that easy, he said. Have you ever been proposed to? Read one more thing. I'm angry because I'm so cold and so ugly. I'm bored as soon as I wake up. It was good when I was pregnant because I had a goal and a structure to my life. The end goal was killing the baby, but at least I had something tangible to focus on. There's no point having crushes on people, though, because people aren't that great. My date asked me what I was doing this weekend, and I said, wait, what day is it today? And my date said, yeah, I guess all the days blur together when you don't really have much going on. Do you want to see the worst photo of me I just took? I say to my sister. I feel like I start conversations with that maybe too often. My friend suggested that Em and I go on a double date with her and Y. She said that we should go bowling. I said that I couldn't go bowling with my disability. She said, I don't really know what we could do then as a double date if we can't go bowling.
Thank you so much. I should clap. I wish more people would clap. It's very lovely. You read one of my favorite bits, which is the dolphin one. I'm horrified that they can't actually make expressions. I have fully convinced myself that they can.
They're smiling.
And also that thing that you said about it says that about dating people and making it feel like you had a baby. My mum doesn't tell many stories about being younger, but like the one that she has told a few times is like she was dating somebody and her friend would always be like, you can have a baby if you want, like you don't have to date this person.
Just as something to do.
Yeah, like if that's what you want. I believe lots of people are clapping for you in the chat, so that's nice.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see Levi clapping while smiling. Thank you.
I am very sad that you can't read in person. I've always really enjoyed going to your readings, and it would be nice if people could clap in the meeting space. Okay, I was saying before that it's fragmented. Do you think of it in line with other fragmented books that we've seen in the last few years? I wonder if you might resist that. Like, I think that Jenny Ophel is one of the famous ones, and there's also been a little bit of pushback to the fragmented books, I think. Like, I can think of like Joyce Carol Oates was one of the first ones that I ever read, like just her saying something a little bit wild on Twitter, and Lorna Euler's latest book, I forget what it's called, with the eye on the cover, has this whole sort of chapter that I think is kind of having a go at fragmented. I mean, I feel like they're mostly having a go at Ophel, so it's not, all fragmented books.
I haven't read either of them, but I did get one of that. I did get Weather out, but then I just didn't read it in time. But I will get it out again from the library. I mean, I can imagine people hate fragmented novels because they seem like a cop-out or whatever, or it's just, I don't know, like too lazy to like put things together, kind of just, I think, I don't know, like I guess I don't really, I feel like I'm not trying to be fragmented, but it just kind of suited the form, like, and like I can't really do plot, like, I don't know. I just, I don't know. I guess I don't see it in the same. Yeah, maybe I don't see it in the same something.
In the same vein. No, I don't think I do either. It doesn't really remind me of those books. I think it's like, I think it's crazy. It's a bit strange that people think of fragmented like works as, even if they're short, as somehow less intensive or like less like easier to write, because you've got to do a lot with the less, I think.
There's more I feel like there's more focus on, like, when you've only got like a few words like on the page, it's kind of like they seem to mean more, maybe, because it's like, oh, okay, like, you think you're so special just putting like a really small thing on the page, like
I mean, in some ways, like, I think with your book, it emphasizes, like, by keeping them in these tight little mini chapters, it sort of emphasizes, it gives a lot of weight to the things that I would say the protagonist is kind of either exposed to or thinking about. Like,
I guess like vignettes. I mean, I don't know. I guess I kind of see life in vignettes. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like when I'm thinking about things, like, I kind of just see scenes in the same way when I'm looking back at relationships. I kind of just see scenes in my mind. Like, I feel like the plot thing is, I mean, I feel like we put plot into things like afterwards, but like in the moment, there's no like plot.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And I feel like my friend a few years ago, he was like, oh, I feel like you should have more plot. Like, and I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I think I just don't really see life like that. I feel like I just see it as kind of discrete kind of moments, which they all are interconnected, but then they also kind of stand alone by themselves as well.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting that, like, he was like, you should perceive things. Like, that's how you should like register things as a plot. That's really interesting. I'm always interested in how people describe like their memories, or like how they conceive of their past, because I think it's everyone thinks that we all share this experience, but I think for a lot of people it's quite different. I mean, someone once asked me if my memory was like a Rolodex, and I was like, which reference will mean nothing to anyone younger than me, but I was just like, like 100%, but isn't that just what it is like for everybody?
And they were like, no.
So I was going to say, I'm familiar with some of the fragments in this book, or I was familiar before reading the book, from watching you evolve the work over time. I've seen you perform some of the pieces, or those like, or like we published some of them in GDS. How long have you been working on the book? Like, what would the oldest fragment be? Or
I think maybe from 2017, but there probably were like scraps from 2016, which I later used like when I was writing stuff in 2018. Like, I feel like I just write shit in documents, and then later on I'll be like, oh, I need something, like try to put something together with old notes that I've written. But yeah, I think 2017 was probably like, I don't know. I had a few, I guess I was calling them poems at that point. I mean, I don't know. Are they poems? What are they? I don't know. They're just little things. I don't know. Pieces. But I published like a little group of fragments on fanzine called, and I don't know, that thing was called Dried Out Pumpkin, Dried Out Pussy, which was actually going to be what the book was going to be called originally.
But, it's such a good title.
So yeah, but I feel like the Dried Out Pumpkin, Dried Out Pussy kind of series was like the starting point, and then I kind of liked the energy of that, and then I was like trying to recreate it, but then I was like, I don't know how to get back to that energy. And then I don't know, writing things over a few years and bits and pieces, and then I don't know, at one point being like, I don't know, this is shit, maybe I should just not work on this, and then deciding actually maybe I will again.
It's great. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
And now it's a book. I'll confess, I was surprised at how well it hung together. Because I was familiar with them originally as poems, like I was like really impressed, I think, and really like delighted to find that it felt like a full story, as much as you might push against this plottedness.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a narrative, like, I think there is a narrative there now, and like I feel like I did try to build a bit of a narrative, but I guess I see it as I feel like I see it as narrative rather than like fiction, you know, like I see it as narrative prose rather, like, I don't know, even though fiction is very similar, but I don't know, I think I hate the word fiction. I don't know why.
I think that's fine. I think genre is really ridiculous, so
yeah, I agree.
Do you, I wrote down this question because I really wanted to ask it. Do you hate adjectives?
Kind of.
I think that your writing is quite similar. I think my best point of reference for your kind of writing is Tao Lin. It reminds me of Tao Lin, in its sort of like dryness and wryness and sort of like comedic timing.
I do like Tao Lin.
Yes. Good, I got one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's like got two styles of writing. Like some of his writing is really like flowery and like long sentences, like Laurie Moore kind of, Anne Beattie, like Beard and like Taipei kind of quite flowery, but then like Shoplifting and Richard Yates are quite like, they're more, I guess, minimalist or whatever, and like less adjectives. I feel like I vibe with those books more. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like whenever I write, I mean, you know, I started off writing like lyric poetry, like, you know, years ago, really like very adjective rich, I guess. And then I got into like language poetry. But I don't know. I think now I don't really use adjectives that much because I feel like whenever I do, like it feels really like try hard or something, and like it always just seems really like too earnest. I don't know, like I feel like, I don't know, I hate it when you pick up a book and they're really like, you can see that they're really trying hard to write a story and trying hard to be like, I'm writing literary fiction, like I'm amazing, like I'm a hot new young author, like I can use 5 adjectives, and you know, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know, I somehow just like can't deal with it. And so yeah, I'm sure the writing's great, but I don't know, for some reason I just feel against that kind of style.
See, I think I've only started, or like the earliest work of yours I've read would probably be the language stuff. I almost want you to be like, what adjective did you use in your lyric, your supposed lyric poems? Like, prove it.
God, I think I've got a few like I don't know, juvenile like things that I wrote when I was 18 and stuff online, because like when I was 18 I got to be like the featured poet for Poetry New Zealand, and I don't know, it's quite like looking back it's just like really cringy, but my mum's always like, oh my god, I love those poems that you used to write, like they're amazing, why don't you write like that anymore? Oh my god.
Classic mums.
Yeah,
I think that's really nice. My mum is kind of the same with my writing. She always likes the stuff that's like, I don't know, a little bit sweeter maybe.
Yeah, doesn't like the dark kind of edgy.
Which is fair enough. They probably, you know, mums want what mums want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask about influences? Is there anyone aside from Tao Lin that I should name check? You told me before we started this that you didn't read, like you were just like, I haven't read anything. And then like you just name checked like I don't know, how many Tao Lin books? It's like 6 Tao Lin books.
Yeah, I mean, I've read all of Tao Lin's books, but I guess I tend to like reread them as well. Like, I have not read. I've actually not read any poetry recently, and I've hardly read any books. Like, I was looking at my Goodreads, and I'm like, fuck, I've read like 5 books this year, like maybe even less.
I don't think it's a very good year for reading.
Yeah, that's true. But then I think even just the last few years, I've just yeah, I've just not read anything. I don't know. Yeah, or I've read books that, well, I don't know. I read like the book The Idiot last year, that everyone seemed to love, but I just hated it. But I read, everyone said it was so funny, and I was just like, I don't know. I don't really see the humor in it. But I read Amina Kane. Okay, I see Josephine in the chat is saying Amina Kane, which, yeah, I really love Amina Kane as a writer.
I'm gonna write this book.
But I mean, yeah, Talon. I really like Sam Pink as well, because, and I mean, I guess I really like Noah Cicero as well, and Megan Boyle, and I guess they're all in the kind of like alt-lit kind of scene, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like Sam Pink and Noah Cicero are good at kind of writing bleak, just kind of working class, like personal narratives, but they're not like really asking for pity, and they're not, I don't know, they don't really feel self-indulgent in any way. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like I've read Sam Pink and like Noah Cicero like a lot. Like I just kind of reread their stuff like when I'm, yeah, I don't know, when I want something comforting or something.
That sounds really cool. I'm writing this down. Yeah, I think one of the things that was exciting to me about reading your book is to do with working class. I'm going to have a little look at my notes, because I mean, I shouldn't refer to my notes, but I know that.
Okay.
I know that I had something I wanted to say about it.
Maybe I'll look at my notes.
I was going to say that it's one of the reasons your book is politically exciting to me. It's that you've written it in your notes about this book, that people assign less value, respect, and agency to the unemployed, and often treat it as a personal and moral deficiency rather than a societal failure. I've noticed how temporary unemployment is tolerable, as is temporary illness, but chronic or recurrent unemployment and chronic illness are not. Which, firstly, I just want to say, hell yes. I think that's great. I love that note. I think it's something that comes up really sort of subtly, or I don't know, like dealt with humor and like handed to the reader with humor in the book, is like that when it like comes to employment, finances, health, like it's hard for people to view a lack of thriving without a moral lens. I think it's really evident in the pandemic. It's really hard for people to grapple with the idea that having wealth or good health or stable employment isn't really about like your personality. Do you think that this sort of like emerges from the work as it's sort of autofiction, or were you trying to convey this? Like, do you feel that like you had a political motivation, or more that it just sort of came from the work?
I think a bit of both. Like, I feel like when I was starting to write, like, I think those kind of things came out naturally, because I guess just from personal experience of being someone who's been unemployed for long periods of time for various reasons, and I guess like seeing the reactions to that in people, even people who are quite well-meaning, or, you know, or just people that you live with who are trying to give you advice about what job that you should do or whatever, or just like subtle kind of like comments about like that you've wasted the day because you've gotten up a little bit late or something like that. Because, you know, I mean, I guess as a society we're very focused on being productive or whatever. But I don't know, people also just don't really like it when you work part-time. Like they find it really like upsetting to them. And they think everyone should work in the same way that they work without really, not really thinking of, I don't know, I feel like people are like angry and then think people are being lazy, but it's probably just because they're really jealous that they wish they could do the same, you know? Even if you have valid reasons for working part-time. I mean, I don't even think you need a valid reason really. Like if you can get by without working full-time, then why not? But like people still get really upset when someone has like a chronic illness and like they're only working part-time, and they're like, oh, like they look fine though, like I don't understand why, like yeah, or people put you down for having like a job that they perceive as like shitty or whatever. Like even people who you think should be more like, you know, like woke about this kind of thing, you know, like people our age, you know, like at, you know, some kind of literary event where I mean, you know, people are always like, oh, like, what are you doing at the moment? You're like, oh, I'm just working in this like customer service job. And they're like, yeah, like I used to have shitty jobs like that. It's just like, all right then, like, you know, like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, I find it really patronizing when people I don't know, think that they're better than you because like they're not working customer service or something.
Yeah, I think it's become really naturalized. Like I think it's one of the reasons that the book, like I think it's one of the great things that the book does, is it like denaturalizes this sort of social world that we've all bought into, that it's like extremely important to sort of like project not just a job but a good job, and like, you know, not just part-time but full-time, and like all of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you should be passionate about it. And it's like, if you have a job that's not like, oh, you know, something that sounds good on when you say it, like it doesn't matter like if you're anyway, I'm
yeah, people want you to be happy at your job, and if you're not, then like I don't know, they're like, oh, you should find another job, and like, you know, I don't know, I just don't really think that people really love to be like, oh, you know, like work is something that you should enjoy, and like, you know, find a job you love, not work a day in your life, whatever. But it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's fake. I don't know, like not everyone has the privilege to work a job that they love. Like it's like you have to work around like, you know, your money situation, your health situation, like what's but I was going to say also, I think like when I was writing this, those themes kind of began to emerge, but then I was kind of conscious of like wanting to actually focus on them, I guess, and convey it, because just kind of think about scenes that I wanted to add that would kind of demonstrate those points, but also not like not trying to be like preachy or annoying. Like I hate it when things are really overly political and you're like getting hit over the head with it. Like that annoys me. But just I mean, hopefully it's like not too.
Oh, I think it's very adept. I mean, I think humor gets you, like, you can get away with a lot if you make it funny.
True. Yeah.
Get your agenda into the text.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we've been describing the book as autofiction. Do you think you could put? Do you think, like, would you say 50-50 autobiographical fiction? Is this question kind of gauche? Like, I don't know. Like, is there a percentage?
I mean, because, you know, when I was writing my other book, like that was obvious, like, I mean, had like autobiography in the title. So it was very, like, I kind of was announcing that it was very much my life. I feel like, I mean, you know, I guess I have the word my life again in the title of this. I feel like it is based on things. There are lots of, I've written a lot about like people that I've gone on dates with. But I sometimes like mix like 3 different people in the one scene. So when people are like, oh, is this like real? I'm like, yeah, like it is, but it's also kind of, put together like a Frankenstein monster kind of thing or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like it's probably higher than 50-50, I reckon. Maybe like 70-30 or like 80-20 percentage of being real, I guess. Or even if it's not like real, I feel like the feeling is real or something.
Or it's like drawn from something real.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about the book coming out?
I was kind of nervous about people reading it that I'd written about, because I mean, I feel like a lot of like Tinder people have like kind of come out of the woodwork in the last like little while. and said that they were going to buy the book and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. I mean, that's fine, I guess. But then one guy said he was going to buy it, and I like had to tell him. Well, I didn't have to tell him, but I decided to tell him that he was in the book, or there was a character that may or may not like be quite similar to a scene that me and him were in. And he was like, oh God, what is it? Fuck, I'm really worried. What? And like, I don't know. He seems really like a chill kind of person, but he was like really like paranoid about it. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll show you. And then he read it and he was like, oh my God, like you made me seem like a monster. Like, did I actually say that? I don't have any recollection of saying this stuff. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, you kind of were a bit of a dick. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then I was like, look, it's not like, I mean, obviously it's exaggerated, you know. I was like, obviously I didn't go in there thinking like, fuck you. Like I was like to him, I think it's pretty neutral actually. Like I don't, you know. Yes. I feel like all of the things are quite neutral. Like I feel like I'm not really condemning anyone. I'm just kind of like, oh, this is what someone said. Like,
yeah,
you know, if you want to see yourself in it and think I'm a piece of shit, well, you know, that's on you. I don't know.
I think it's like, I mean, like one of my favorite lines is the one that's like, the protagonist is talking to someone, and he says he's only had 2 bad dreams in his life, which I just love that so much. And I think it's that thing of like, especially because they're in the little fragments like we talked about, it kind of just exposes something that is really normalized in real life, like the outlandish confidence of cis men. Like just to say something like that. Yeah, so I could see how people, I think it's one of those things where it probably would feel brutal to people, especially not
I guess that people just remember it because it's like, you know, it's like you said it. Like I've not made up anything that you didn't say, you know. But I think people like get a bit like outraged when you actually remember it, like, you know, months or whatever later. I mean, like the dreams line actually isn't like real. Like that didn't happen to me, but I feel like people people say
it sounds real.
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, I'm sure it has. I'm sure it's happened, like to someone. In fact, yeah, I feel like I read it on Twitter somewhere, and then I don't know, just stole it. But I don't know. I remember like, I mean, I've written about it in here, but you know, a guy kind of being like, you know, I'm telling him a story, and he's like, I'm not really interested in what you're telling me.
No,
like, right then, dick. Like, you know. Or just, that same person, he could be watching now. So, anyway, that same person, like we had this like giant fight, and then, or not fight, but just discussion about our relationship. And then in the end, he was like, oh, can I still send you a friend request on Facebook? And it's just like, what? Like, yeah, just so like, just too confident. Men are too confident.
According to
like,
so I'm gonna change tack in case there is someone in the audience.
Well, I am worried about a few people, so you know, as we're just
sure they can take it. Technology features in the novel like something that the protagonist has no power over, and like a lot of that, I feel that like a lot of the other characters sort of experience technology the same way in the book. I think writing technology is also really, it's still a challenge, even though it's been ages now, like this thing that's a huge part of everyday life. There's no like agreed way to render it in fiction. How do you think
it's awkward to
handle it?
Because I feel like Talbin, you know, kind of writes, he's always like, oh, you know, he opened Gmail chat or whatever, or, you know, I mean, at first I was avoiding saying the word Tinder. And then I feel like I just feel like online dating site, which is kind of wordy. But then, I don't know, I think at some point I kind of said Tinder, but then, I don't know, that's probably not going to age really well, but I don't know.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I guess it's, And it's almost like a verb now. Like you say Tinder when you mean any. Hopefully. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I felt like I tried to avoid saying Uber.
Mm-hmm.
I said like taxi, even though I didn't mean taxi. I mean Uber.
Yes, it's never a taxi.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It does seem challenging to write about technology and like social media without sounding weird. And I guess also just thinking about people reading this like in a few years' time. I mean, I don't know, even like MySpace, like I was reading like Noah Cicero's book the other day, his first book, and he's got like his MySpace profile, like at the beginning, like as the way of like, you know, his social media, instead of writing his like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, he's got his MySpace, and it's just like that looks really weird now.
Yeah, like it's like a picture, or
and just like the link. Oh, sorry, like just like the URL kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like at the front of his book, like printed.
That's very outlet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah, maybe it's fine because it's like, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I think it's quite seamless in your book. Like it's not too clunky, which is great.
That's good.
I'm aware that we're gonna maybe start opening up to some questions soon. So I was just gonna like put that out into the ether in case people are thinking of questions. I think you can just ask them in the chat, and they'll be scooped into a pile for me, maybe. But if people don't ask questions, I definitely have questions. I wanted to know if you have a process. I think writers are sort of famous for having weird snacks or like rigid schedules. I think it's really superstitious. I think, you know, people are afraid of writer's block. I'm really superstitious about it. Just kind of curious about how you fit it into your life. Like, how does it sort of happen for you?
Always write at night. Like I can't do anything during the day. Like when I was like doing postgrad writing, like everyone would always be like working on their stuff during the day in the library, and I'll just be like, fuck, I can't. But then as soon as it came to like 9 p.m, I'd be like all alert, and you know, I don't know, some dark chocolate raw cacao kind of like, you know, I got my needle tea, got my raw cacao, got my bone broth. Like,
I knew you were going to say bone broth.
I know. I wasn't planning to, and then it just, you know,
definitely like the bone broth writer.
I ran out of bone broth today. I'm really sad. Like, and like, I'm just not going to shops at the moment because I just don't want to get, you know, I'm just going to do an online order so I don't get diseased. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be hard to access bone broth, but you know, I guess Levi's saying, what's your preferred brand of bone broth? I've been getting like Nutri-Organics beef bone broth at the moment.
Sounds revolting.
Like, yeah, I mean, you add salt. It's actually not. I think it's nice, but I did get a really horrible bone broth the other day. Like it was like in a pouch, like a fresh one. It wasn't. I don't know. It just tasted like beef fat. It wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can't. I mean, I definitely have a lot of. I'll have anything that's soup, really, so I don't know why I'm judging your bone broth so much. I think it's because it's got the word bone in it and broth.
Yeah.
Bone and broth.
Are you vegetarian, vegan? Yeah.
Maybe so, I mean, I can't throw any shade. I've eaten so much slop, you know.
Yeah.
Like vegetable slop. I was going to mention that oh God!
I was something I was going to say. I was going to say I've been very afraid of writer's block, but now I'm like, I just embrace it. Like, I mean, I've not written anything since I finished the manuscript, and like, there have just been huge chunks of time where I just haven't written anything. I guess it's like the whole like not read. Like, I don't know. I was like, oh shit. Like, I think when I was even like studying like undergrad, I kind of don't really feel like an English student because I just wouldn't I don't know, like there are a lot of books that I hate, and like I find writing annoying. Like I find writing like quite irritating. I don't know. I kind of hate writing, but like I feel like I need to do it. Like I feel good when it's done, but I kind of hate doing it, and I hate beforehand.
Yeah.
I'm happy afterwards, though. I don't know.
I think,
But,
yeah. I think a lot of writers can relate to that. I think there's a real taboo to being like, to saying that you find it hard, or that like, you know, you sort of supposed to pretend that a lot of it is, you know, I don't know, joy or easy, or that you do it every day. And it's like, you know, sometimes it can also just be very stressful.
Yeah, I definitely don't write every day. I know people always like, you know, a writer should get up at like 6 a.m. and like write, you know, for an hour. Like doesn't matter what comes out. Like, you know, you should just make it a habit. It's a muscle. But I feel like when I do that, I just get really aggravated when I'm not feeling in that zone. Like I think I can do writing work that isn't like, I don't know. I feel like I gather stuff. Like I'll kind of sift through old documents or like Twitter or Instagram, or I'll look for like pieces of stuff and then kind of write them in document, and then I'll come back to it later when I want to like assemble writing or whatever, or I want to write a poem or something. But I think trying to write when I'm not in the mood for it, I just get angry and like I get like upset, and I feel but I don't know.
I'll ask one more question before I let other people ask their questions. Do you have a favorite bit in the book, or maybe you could read it, or maybe you have a favorite moment in releasing the book? Like, was there something that sticks out in your mind as like,
I feel like I don't know what favorite, but I feel like I've gotten a few messages from people over the last few weeks who have read the book, and I feel like I kind of got a message from someone the other day that was like, oh God, I probably shouldn't try and find it because then I'll be searching through messages, but I'll briefly try to find it. But I don't know, I guess they kind of read it and like really related to it as someone who'd also been, okay, I found it. They were like, oh, I just want to tell you how much your book resonated with me as a long-term sporadically unemployed person with mental health issues. And, you know, captures kind of how difficult it is kind of being a millennial. I hate the word millennial, but yeah, but like, I don't know, I feel like I feel like I'm writing for people to read who are, I guess, feel the same way. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like if someone can feel like less alone or like less fucked or something from reading a book, because I feel like that's why people write to, like, I feel like people like things because it makes them feel less insane or like less alone in some way. And I think if people feel less fucked from reading my book, even though it's like bleak, then that's like a good outcome.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, for sure. So I've got some questions. This one's from Eloise. Eloise, hello. Eloise says, I really enjoy that your book is an outright rejection of ideas about work as being a kind of worthiness. Is this something you feel confident living by in real life, or do you feel more ambivalent?
Hang on, I want to see if I can find. Oh, hang on. I'm reading the question so I can.
Yes.
I feel like it's really difficult to live in that way. Because I don't know, I feel like I think that, but I feel like, you know, every single person that you speak to like has an opposite, you know, like the value system is not that, or it is that, but people still kind of look down on you for choosing to live in a certain way, or like, you know, parents or like people that you're dating, or even just like an Uber driver will be like, oh, where are you going? Like, oh, why don't you work? I don't know. I feel like Uber drivers always are telling me that I should work more. It's just like, you don't know anything about my life. Like, I don't know. Like,
I've also gotten a lot of advice. I think it's because I have to talk all the time. I think they just they're just like, they form these opinions and they're like, I've been telling people, I've got to spread the word. Like,
yeah, it's true.
I would do that if I was an Uber driver.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've become, I guess, more confident in that, but I don't know. It's very difficult because it's also kind of like you still have to like live. You still have to like live in the world, and unfortunately, the way the world's set up, you still have to like make money to survive. So you can't really be like, I'm just going to live on like good vibes or whatever, and I'll be fine. Like, you know. But I don't know. I kind of just, but I also kind of feel at the same time like, you know, people look down on like customer service or like working at McDonald's or whatever, but I kind of feel like working at McDonald's can be like a more valuable career or job than some really like high paid like marketing job, in terms of how much difference you can make in the world, like actually connecting with people. Like you can, like I want to work in a job where I can actually like make a difference, and that can be, I mean, you can use that. I mean, you can make a difference when you're working at McDonald's, like just because of the way that you interact with people. And like, I don't really want to have a job where I'm quite removed from people. Like, yeah.
You're studying towards, do you want to speak about that at all? That you're...
Yes, I do. I feel like someone also, I can see someone wrote something about paid work and writing relationships, so maybe I should. Oh, but no, I mean, I'll just say it now. Sorry. Yeah, I've started studying again and doing like a degree in support work, mental health support work, and then want to go on to like, you know, work in mental health counseling, something. But yeah, I mean, I just, for me, like doing that seems more valuable than, I don't know, working at a bookshop, say, for me personally. Like, you know, I don't want to shit on everyone who works at a bookshop. Like, but like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not someone who wants to like, you know, like work in the arts or whatever.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah.
I'm always like quite impressed with people who, or like I admire the people that I've seen in the arts industry who feel really strongly, like they can feel the good that they do in the world. Because it's like, I think it's hard as someone who works in the arts industry sometimes to actually feel like you're helping, or that like it is this. Yeah, I admire the people who can feel the good that it does. It's like I believe in the good that it does, but it's like to feel it, to actually like experience it is a lot harder. I mean, it's like my brother is a nurse, and then every now and then he'll be telling me some story from his work, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like, some people like it really matters what he does day to day. Like, yeah, I'm like, oh, if I make a mistake, it doesn't really have that sort of immediate consequence most of the time. I'm going to pick another question. There's one that has 2 upvotes, so it's probably pretty good. This one's from Sam. Do you think it was harder for you to pitch your book because it didn't look like other books?
Well, I think Nick mentioned that we met at like a reading in a dank pub, but that was like when I was reading for Sick Leave, which is like a cool reading series that is run by Harry, Ursula, and Gareth, which I think has been, I don't know, I'm glad it exists. But, and I think Nick kind of came up to me and like was like, oh, I like your work, like, you know, have you been working on something? So I feel like, I guess he kind of was open to, other, like another type of, I don't know what I'm saying, but I guess he was already interested without me having to like pitch it to him. And then when we were kind of discussing things like over email, I was like, oh, I'm not really sure if this is prose or poetry, like it's kind of in between genres. And he's like, oh, that's okay, like we don't mind. But I think in New Zealand, I mean, I did send it to, I think before I don't know, I showed it to another publisher in New Zealand like at some point, and they were like, yeah, it's not really like fiction and it's not like poetry, like we can't market it as either. So, and they were kind of like resistant to it being in between, whereas I feel like Nick and Giramondo were like open to it, which is good. But yeah, this particular New Zealand publisher, I mean, there are only like 3 publishers in New Zealand, so it's pretty easy to guess who. But I mean, no shade to them though. But I mean, I think people do find it a little bit difficult to be open to things when things aren't neatly able to put into a box. Like, because they said to, like, they were like, oh, you need to like make it more like fiction, you need to like develop the character more and like have more plot or whatever. But I don't know, I feel like people can cope without plot. Like, I think you need to give readers more credit. Like, I don't know, like when you have like films that don't have any plot, everyone's like, oh my god, that was so arty. But like when you have like a fiction book without plot, everyone's like, oh my god, like nothing happened, I can't believe it.
Yeah,
it's like, it's not that, I don't know, it's not that experimental.
Yeah, I think I mean, I've had similar comments before, like that by fiction that characters seem passive or whatever, and it's like I think some people, or I don't know, like maybe I don't want to feel like I'm calling people out, but like I feel like some people have a sense of like their life is a story, and like this is their progress, and they're like becoming different and changing and growing, and everything is leading to something. And get surprised when it doesn't appear in fiction. I think it's something that people get.
It's not real. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. I think it's I think it's like people perceive it as something that's being done to the work, whereas like, I mean, I think for you it sort of emerges, like it emerges from your perspective as natural, I think. I mean, but this is me just providing my opinion.
You have good opinions. I want to hear your opinion.
The other thing I was going to mention is Aaron has something in the question. I'm going to paraphrase your question, Aaron. I'm sorry. Aaron asks, do you feel like there is power in being disrespectful? It reminds me of this tweet of yours that I wanted to read. I know it's a little gauche to read a tweet, but I think it's kind of relevant. You wrote, a woman in my uni class said she was going to read my book threateningly. She grabbed a copy from another woman in class, opened up to a random page and was like, it says I'm ovulating. What the fuck? I think your Twitter, like your book kind of puts readers on a precipice, and it's like that sort of thing where it's like something really terribly awkward happens and the book just like leaves it. It's just like, I've just enshrined this moment for you. Which I think a lot of people can't bear because it doesn't give the release. Like it just sort of, you've got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, people like to, I don't know. No, I shouldn't say that.
I think it does release the reader a little bit because it's just like, this can just happen. I mean, like that's a tweet from your real life, but
people like things to be finished or have closure, I guess, and like people don't like to be left to like have to put themselves into the situation and like figure out what comes next or whatever. I feel like I don't really know. Like I feel like when I'm writing, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know what comes next. And like, I feel like, well, I mean, I feel like I could like write more of that scene, but I feel like it would kill it or something. Like, I feel like when I do try to write longer things, or like go deeper into the character, like it just ends up getting really tacky or something. And like, but I don't know. I feel like when I've been reading sometimes to people, I kind of, read something and then they kind of look at me like, oh, is that it? Was that it? But then I think they kind of laugh because they're like they weren't expecting it to end then. But I think that's good. I don't know. people don't want it to end, but then they're kind of also like, oh, okay. Like it's funny that it's kind of ending there.
Yeah. I think it's comedic timing. Like I think I was wondering if like performing and reading has changed how you write. Like do you think that comes from that like sort of comedic timing place?
Yeah, I feel like I did get into doing a lot of readings in Melbourne, like, when Andy had their like house show stuff. Like that was a cool
God bless.
I wish I hope they come back at some point. Like I hope that event comes back, even though I know Andy was ending them. But anyway, they were good. They were, yeah. And I feel like, getting us to read there like a bunch of times, I feel like it did influence my writing because I would need to be writing something that would not sound dumb when I read it out and you could understand it without having to see it on the page. And I guess the punchline stuff. But then I didn't really want, I don't know, I guess I worry also about becoming like a writer who only writes like funny stuff or like stuff with punchlines. But then I think almost sometimes I don't have punchlines, but there should be a punchline, but then that can be part of it as well when you're reading, when there's no, like people are waiting for you to get to a punchline, there isn't a punchline.
I think it's a lot easier. I think it's a lot more common to find writers who are funny, who are also, great non-funny writers. But you don't really get the reverse doesn't seem to happen. It's like either you're funny or you're not. I don't know if that sounds mean, but like I think it's harder to bring funny into a work where it's not your, forte. Whereas, yeah, I don't think that it's something that in any way gets in the way of the beauty of your prose. I just want to come back to the dolphin line that you started with. Just very beautiful and very upsetting to learn about. Should we do one more reading? Do you have one more in you?
Yeah.
Before I think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
Okay. I see there are two more. There are a few more questions. I feel bad. I feel bad for them.
I tried to scan them all. I feel like we talked about work a lot, so I'm sorry to the people that I left those ones on the table.
Okay. Let's see if I can. I think someone said something about paid work and writing.
Yes.
But I don't know. I think people should not write full time. I don't know. I never want to write full time because then it's like, what are you writing about?
Being a writer.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I feel like the worst writing is people who are like they don't live in the real world. They're just like academics who have never worked like a proper job. I don't know.
Someone. Josephine in the chat says crowdfund dolphin experience for Zarah 2022. I would so put money into that. What a dream. You would make such a great Instagram from that.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay. Oh God, fuck, I don't even know. Okay, I'll read this one. Couldn't make a decision about a very basic, simple thing, so eventually I did an online tarot reading to help me decide. Now I'm getting fingered, surrounded by stuffed animals. I keep seeing his face as a clown's face. Did I see him as a clown somewhere before we met? His dick looks like a slug. He brought me food he found in a bin. He's rich, but his household does dumpster diving because it's fashionable. I start to tell him a funny and detailed anecdote about my childhood. He says, "Sorry, I was half asleep. I just missed the last thing you said. Also, I'm just not that interested in what you're saying." "Okay," I say. "Are you upset?" he asks. I was just being honest. Later, his head is resting underneath my chin while I hug him. "I kind of feel like a baby lying like this," he says. I say, "My ex used to pretend to be a baby. He would lie with his head in my lap and talk in a baby voice." "Oh, okay. I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm just saying that's what he used to do."
Thank you so much. I want to clap, but it's weird to clap alone. And it's Nick.
I figured that was a good point to reappear, but I had to stop laughing about the being a baby before I could do so. Hey guys, thank you so much for that. That was a really wonderful discussion from both of you, and I was really pleased to hear you reading again, Zarah. It's so great to hear your absolutely deadpan delivery. So. I just wanted to say a couple of things before we wrap up, which is that this session is being recorded by Crowdcast. So if you wanted to revisit it, I have a cat who's a timekeeper and shows up at the end of the session.
That's so cute.
The session is being recorded, and you can. So if you want anyone else to watch it, it will be available on Crowdcast, and we'll eventually get it onto the book page for nostalgia as well. You can, of course, buy the book if you don't have it already, or buy it for somebody else if you do. There's a link on this page, or you can go to our website, or you can go to any good bookshop. And you can also subscribe to Giramondo to receive our books as they're published. And we'll have a couple more events in September, one with Toby Fitch and one with Anwen Crawford. So keep an eye on our website or subscribe to our newsletter or our social media for any of those things. But Hollen, thank you so much for this really great set of very diverse and very open kind of questions. It was a really great discussion.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you for the book, Zarah, and thanks for the discussion. And I hope at some point in the next 6 to 24 months, you'll be able to do a live launch in Auckland as well. So
yeah, hopefully.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and have a great night and great week.
Thank you.
Thank you
for watching.